Today is Thanksgiving Thursday, and we've had a little bit of pushback on this. People thinking, this is such an American thing. Why are we bringing an American thing into New Zealand? Well, I don't know. Is gratitude an American thing? I'm not sure. I don't think they have an exclusive on this. We have perhaps even more reasons to be thankful here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Joining me on the program now is Ferg Turnbull from the Thankfulness Project in New Zealand. Ferg, kia ora, good morning.
Hey, Andrew, how are you?
I'm doing very well. I mean, can I say happy Thanksgiving? I mean, I don't have any pumpkin pie, but we can do this in New Zealand, can't we?
Mate, we can do Thanksgiving every day of the week.
Yeah. I think honestly, that is the thing that perhaps the Americans got wrong. Is thankfulness is a great idea, but it's not just a one and done. It's not just a once a year thing. And we certainly have a lot of reasons to be thankful here in New Zealand. The Thankfulness Project, though, what's behind that? Why did you think this is something that you need to be involved with?
Yeah, well, look, I was doing some billboards that were essentially biblical messages that were just spoken very plainly, that were on digital billboards around the country. And thankfulness was one of them. And one night I woke up in the middle of the night and I felt God say to me, if you could encourage the country with one message, what would it be? And just off the top of my head, I was like, well, thankfulness is the one that I think, as a response to a mental health crisis or an awareness rising about anxiety, that thankfulness is one thing that's so simple that everybody already kind of grasp a little bit, that if they get on board with that, then it's really going to lift things up.
Because regardless of what sort of day you're having, and hey, to be fair, I know there'll be people listening to this at the moment who are having a pretty rough time, but all of us can find something to be thankful for. All of us can literally count our blessings, and whether or not we're thankful to God and ultimately, or whether we're just grateful for the circumstances that we're in, that in itself will lift our mental health, right?
Yeah, well, I think that's exactly right. And I do take my hat off to the Americans that they've given it a day. With New Zealand, I've made it a thankfulness week and put that in the middle of the year. But I love it that they do have this point in time where they celebrate and they think about thankfulness. With thankfulness, there's comparative thankfulness. How am I compared to someone else? Like, we're not in we're not in the Middle East experiencing their troubles. We've got peace in our country. But you've also got creative thankfulness. You just look around you and you go, hey, we're talking right now. We're listening. We're seeing each other. There's a lot to be thankful for.
There certainly is. And talk to us about the power of thankfulness. How I suppose making a conscious decision to recognize the positive things in your life, how that can change not just how you feel, but your circumstances ultimately.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. There is a university in the States at Berkeley where they research thankfulness, and they look at the power, for example, of writing a letter of gratitude to someone, and they look at the felt levels or perceived levels of happiness that those people retain over a period afterwards. And it's significantly more than just doing a normal life. Even writing the letter and not sending it is powerful.
Wow.
And then they look at practices like a daily journal, say writing down 3 things or thinking about 3 things you're thankful for. And those people notice that their gratitude, their happiness, it goes up, it lifts. And so what thankfulness does, the power of it, is that when you start practicing it, it starts retraining your mind about how to think about things. That if something goes wrong, in our day, and it does every day, you can take a pause and you can go, okay, well, what am I thankful for? And you can start listing things, and immediately you kind of turn it around and it increases your positivity. And the effect of that, accumulative, can lift a society. And I really don't believe it's overstating to say that.
Yeah, it is a transformational, as you say, both at an individual and a societal level. It is almost, though, a little bit of a first world problem, isn't it? That that if you've got the basics covered, you can take a whole bunch of stuff for granted. That if you're relatively well off, that just gives you a safe space to complain about everything from. And perhaps in New Zealand, we've got quite good at that. Actually, a little bit of tall poppy, a little bit of knocking other people down. Unfortunately, it's become something that we've known for. Wouldn't it be fantastic if New Zealand was known as the most grateful people on the planet?
Look, I think it would be amazing. And you hear of people that go to third world countries where people have nothing. And they come back almost every time. These are the most happy people. They're grateful for anything. And, the person who's gone, they come back and they're amazed. And I think it's that song, we don't know how lucky we are.
Yeah.
Well, I would like New Zealand to know how lucky we are. You've just got to watch the news to know how lucky you are. And thankfulness actually tunes your mind in on those things.
I mean, we don't want to be too Pollyanna about this one, because there are some things in society.
I don't know what that means. Well, I don't know what that means, Andrew.
Okay, no, I've lost you in a metaphor. We don't want to be so naively optimistic, because there are some things in our society that do need changing. There are some things that we need to push back at. We don't want to think, oh gosh, everything is beautiful in the world. I think sometimes pointing out what could be better, that's not the opposite of thankfulness. But certainly moaning about everything doesn't help either.
Well, look, that's fair. And I know that you're speaking to someone who's a potential detractor for it. But what I would say is we're so far away from Pollyanna that we could do with a whole lot more Pollyanna. And then we'll just tone it down a little bit. If people are being so ridiculously positive and thankful, let's turn it down a little bit. If people are smiling too much.
Yeah, totally. Sorry if my cynicism is showing there.
No, it's fine. I think it's good to speak to that. And I love someone to ask me, hey, I've got nothing to be thankful for.
Yeah.
And man, I can give you, I've got a list on the website, begreat.co.nz, 100 things to be thankful for. We brought that out during COVID, and 250 things to be thankful for, because I think the cynic does say, well, not the cynic, but just the everyday person who's not used to living with this focus on these good things. There's not much. But what that is, it's actually you just haven't trained your mind to look at these things.
Yeah, just looking at the positive. And hey, thank you for what you do in that space as well. And if people are in that space on this Thanksgiving morning where they're going, you know what, I'm really struggling to find things to be grateful for. I mean, that's a good place to start. And there's all sorts of tools and inspiration there as well to help cultivate that attitude of thankfulness.
Exactly.
Now, if people wanted to find out more, Ferg, how do they connect with what you do? How do they get this list of 250 things to be thankful for? What's the best way of doing that?
Yeah, you can jump on www.begreat, as in begreat.co.nz, and it's all on there. There are free stickers. You've just got to pay for postage. Thankfulness equals happiness. I've got signatures you can add to your email. You can download these things. But what I would say to everyone listening is, if you want to increase your optimism and your positivity, set a daily reminder on your phone that says, think about 3 things I'm thankful for and why. And set that and create it as a habit, because that will give you an increase in optimism and positivity.
Wow. Hey, good practical stuff. begreat.co.nz for more information.
Thank you.
Ferg, thanks for what you do. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Andrew. Have a good one.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.